Good morning to all of you. In our previous session, we have gone through the friend function, right? So again, we will be having that a quick revision kind of thing. What is there in friend function? So friend function is nothing but friend function can you can say access the private data of any of the class, right? If that function is friendly with your class, right? And here there is one function that is float mean. This function is outsider function which is now friend function of my class, right? Though it is not part of my class, I've just said that this function is my friend, so that function I can use, right? So you are just borrowing that function, you just borrowed that function and you are using it, that's it. So you cannot write like that sample scope resolution operator and then mean, right? And even you cannot call this function mean of x like x dot mean. No, you are not calling like this, right? Because that is not part of your class. So you cannot access that function via object of your class. Okay. Instead of that, you are simply writing this function just like your other functions, what you are doing still 1 to 3 units, right? Float mean, but generally in friend function, you are passing object as an argument, not the integer or float or character or boolean, right? Instead of that, you are passing the whole object of a particular class. So here my class is sample. I passed the object of my sample class, and what I'm doing is I'm having two variables over here in my class A and B, right? And I'm finding just the average of this two, means mean of this two variables. So what I need to do, I have to access those variables into the function. So generally if the function is part of my class, so I can directly access A and B, right? But here they are not part of my class, but I'm just passing object as an argument. So this object I can access A and B. So like s dot A, s dot B. So I'm accessing this A and B via object, and then I'm doing whatsoever the task is there, right? It will return some value into float, and that will be printed in cout over here, right? This is what we have seen. Then the another one, if it could be possible that one class is having one function and the another class is having the same use of that function. So why to write that function again if class Y is having good terms with class X? So class Y is saying that class X is my friend, and he will give me full access to that function. So here this function is a part of your class X, like integer function 1, and this class Y is just friend of the class X, so that is why this function he can use. So here friend integer function 1, but this function 1 is from which class? So that is of class X. So X scope resolution operator and function 1. So function of the class X is now friend of class Y, and he can use it. Getting this? So here class X is only giving one function to use, not all the function. If it is so, if the class X is best friend of class Y and class X is permitting for all the functions, so here in class Z you can write like this friend class X. So what it means, all the members of this, all the member functions of the class X are now friends to the Z. So you can use any of the function. If in class X 50 functions are there, 50 functions you can use it as a friend, because I've written only single line that friend class X means class X is having all the functions friend with class Z, right? This is what we have seen. Yes or no? Getting the things? And I hope I'm audible to you guys.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So here, this is the last what we have seen, right? Here there is one function, just the kind of income tax, right? This income tax function is very common between all the classes, and all the class can make that function as a friend and they can use it. But that is not the private property of any of the class, right? It is not part of your class, but you are just using it as a friend, right? So here I'm having this example class XYZ and class ABC. These are the two different classes who is having integer X and integer A as its private data. Now what I'm doing is I'm just comparing this A and X and I'm just finding who is the maximum. These are the two different classes, just like you and your neighbor, right? And the other people are comparing the result of both of you, I mean, right, you and your neighbor friend. Okay, so this is very similar to that. We are just comparing who is having the greater, I mean, highest marks, you or your neighbor. So same way here I'm having class XYZ. I'm having one variable over here that is maybe my marks or something, right? I'm setting that value and now I'm saying that friend function void mix, because this will use two different classes, right? XYZ and ABC. It's having one member, it is having one member. In my previous example, I was having two members A and B, but that is from the same class. Simple, only one class was there, and I'm accessing two variables of my class only from the same class, right? But here the case is different because I'm having two different classes XYZ and ABC, right? And I'm having X and A from two different classes respectively. Okay, and this forward declaration is required. Why? Because anyone, why the forward declaration is required? Anyone answer? No one? This is what we've already seen in our previous session. Huh? This is not the new thing that what I'm teaching. This is just for the revision purpose. Anyone who can say why this forward declaration is required? Fine. So I'll only explain, right? Here the forward declaration is required because whenever you are writing your class XYZ, at that time you are having this function friend, and over here you have used ABC. So compiler will not get to know what is this ABC. They only know what is XYZ, because that XYZ class, it is debugging right now. What is ABC? Compiler don't find it. So at that time you have to tell compiler that the class ABC, this is only declaration. Definition of this class is coming later on. So don't raise any error wherever you will find this ABC. So I'm writing this ABC is nothing but a class, and a whole definition will be there afterwards. Getting this thing now? Why the forward declaration is required? This is, I'm repeating fourth or fifth time. Everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then again, I'm having my class ABC, right? And in class ABC, I'm having this variable integer A, and over here integer X. XYZ variable X, class ABC variable A. This is what you need to remember, right? And here I'm just setting the value, and also I'm having a friend function XYZ ABC, same as over here. Now what is this max function, which I made it as a friend in my classes XYZ and ABC? So max function is taking XYZ and ABC's object like M and N respectively, and what I'll get, I'll access this value X via object only, so M dot X, and here that is N is the object which will access the value of A, so N dot A. I'm simply checking that if this value is greater than C out, else this will be the C out. This is the maximum, right? A or X. Whosoever is maximum, simply we will print that value with the use of C out, right? And here I'm creating the object of ABC class. Here I'm creating object of XYZ class. I'm setting both the values 10 and 20. And now I'll call mx xyz comma abc. I'm not using any object over here for the calling my friend function, right? That is the first rule. In friend function, whenever I'm calling this function, you don't have to use any object name because that is not the private property of xyz or abc. They are the normal function. So you can call it like this. And we have seen the output also for this. Now the next topic is returning the object. Say suppose you are having one function integer addition and you are taking two arguments over here, integer a comma integer b. This is why I am showing, because this would be only your how you are returning the object. The syntax will remain same, right? Here I'm taking third variable, that is integer c, and now I'm storing the result of this a plus b into c, and finally I'm returning c. This is what my typical method. Even I can write return a plus b, but I'm showing you the correct syntax which we will use in our returning the object. So here what I'm returning, c. What is the data type of c? Integer. So the same should be matched over here, integer. If I'm taking over here float, right, float c is equals to a plus b, and here I'm returning the c, so what should be my return type? Float. Getting this thing? Because this and this, they should be matched always. C and the return type, right? So you are writing return type only, so whatsoever the function is returning the value, it is of this data type. This is what the simple meaning. So here right now I'm having an integer as an example. So you are getting what is return type. You are taking the third variable. You are storing the answer into the third variable, and finally you are returning. So same way we can even return the objects. Just like your built-in data type, you have to write whatsoever the data type of that particular class. So function cannot only have the objects as an argument, but it can also return them. So we could be having a return type over here also, right? So here I'm having a class time. Okay, I'm directly showing you this in code blocks, right? Here I'm having one class time. The same example we have seen at the time of object as an argument, right? We are doing the summation of hours and minutes. So the same program have been modified in terms of returning the object, right? So this many things are the same. Class is the time. I'm having two variables as a private hours and minutes. In this section, public section, I'm having two methods, get time and put time. Here I'm just assigning the values hours is equals to h and minutes is equals to m, right? And I'm putting hours is this, minute are this. Now here I'm having friend function. Friend, return type is time, function name is sum, and I'm passing two objects of the time class, time, comma, time. Getting this thing, return type is time over here, which was previously void. When we have seen the example, it was void. But now I'm returning my object, which is of class time. So I'm writing time, sum, time, comma, time. Now in this function, whenever I'm defining this function outside, because this is friend function, I don't have to write scope resolution operator and all, right? I'm not doing this. I'm simply writing time, sum, time t1, comma, time t2. Okay. Now I'm taking another variable, that is time t3. So you can say another object, just like this, integer c. Here I'm taking time t3. Now I'm First I'm doing what? This addition of minutes from t1 dot minutes and t2 dot minutes, right? And that will be ultimately stored in t3 dot minutes. So t3 is nothing but the object. It could be having the access of two variables like hours and minutes, right? Okay, so in minutes, t3 dot minutes, I'm having t1 plus t2 minutes. Then what I'm doing is I'll divide these minutes by 60 and I'll store it into the hours, right? So t3 dot hours is equals to t3 dot minutes by 60. Then the remaining minutes that will be there into the t3 dot minutes at the last after the reminder, right? After this modulo, whatsoever the reminder is this there, that will be stored in t3 dot minutes. Now I'm adding this all t3 dot hours is equals to t3 dot hours plus t1 dot hours plus t2 dot hours, and finally I'm returning my object, right? So here the type of t3 is what? Time. So that is why here also I've written time. I hope you are getting how you can return the objects. Getting the things? Yes or no?
Yes,
Getting
ma'am.
the things? Yes or no? Please write it down in a chat. Okay, Ayush. One person is replying, rest of the others are sleeping, I think. Fine.
Yes, yes.
Okay, fine. So here how I can call this. So you know this thing, we are creating three different objects T1, T2, T3, and I'm setting the values like 245, 245, right, for T1 and T2. And now I'm calling T3 is equals to sum of T1, T2. It is very similar to like this over here. You are writing that another integer result, right? And now result is equals to, I'm doing this function called add a comma b. So I'm taking the third variable to store these results, because ultimately this add ab function will throw something, and to catch that I have to write third variable. So the same thing over here. Here I have taken this third object of time, because this sum t1 comma t2 will return something, will throw something of type time. So I've taken the third variable, or you can say third object of type time over here, right? And I'm calling this function. And finally, t3 dot put time, it will be having its hours and minutes, right, as a result. So we'll run this code and I'll get the output like this: 245, 245, 40 plus 45, that is 90. 90 divided by 60, so hours would be 1 and remainder will be 30. That is my minutes. So 2 plus 2, 4 plus 1 hour from here. So 5 hours and 30 minutes. I hope you are getting. Okay. So please note it down some of the things, right? This is not the physical class where I used to say in my classroom that please write it down this code, because if you will write this, then and only then you will get to know this thing. Otherwise, by just watching the code, nobody will be able to write the code. This is the bitter fact, right? You cannot write your code just by watching this. If there is no screen right now and I'll say that please write this code again by your own, the simple thing, right, how we are doing this addition program, you will not be able to write this. So by watching this you are getting this, okay fine, this is very easy, but when you will write that code at that time, you won't get anything, right? So please note it down some of the things in between. Fine. There is one another small topic, that is a constant member function, right? It can be asked in 1 marks. that if a member function does not alter any value in the class, then we may declare that it as a constant member function. You know what is the meaning of const, right? You know the meaning of const. If I'm writing const integer a is equals to 10, means what? Your value of a is now the constant one, and nobody else can change this value. It is very similar to that. So here I am making my constant member function. So that member function will not alter or modify any of the value of your member, right? So generally, the keyword that whatsoever we are using, if I'm making that function as an inline, so I can write inline different, and then I'll start my function and arguments and all, right? Something like this. But here we are not putting the keyword in front of the function, instead of that at the last I'm writing it as a const. Okay, so here void mul, that is my function. It's having two arguments, integer, and I'm writing const. So this member function is now the constant one, and constant characteristics is what? You cannot alter the value. So the same over here, same way, double get balance, and I'm writing const. After the function I'm writing const, not before. Okay, so the qualifier constant is appended to the function prototype. Even in the declaration, even at the time of definition, you have to write this const. And the compiler will generate an error message if such functions are trying to alter the data values. If this function is trying to alter any value, compiler will raise an error. Okay, this is only the thing which you need to understand in constant member function. The topic is over. I hope you are getting. Fine. The next is pointer to members. Pointers to members. Now see, there is a concept of pointer, and you have to pay the extra attention over here, otherwise you won't get anything. It would be so much confusing otherwise, right? Pointers to members, how you can write it. So it is also possible to take the address of a member of a class and you can assign it to the pointer. That is possible now, right? The address of a member can be obtained by applying the operator to a fully qualified class member name, right? Which is a part of your class. They are known as a class member. So class member pointer can be declared using the operator with the class name. And you can see the example directly, then you will get to know that what is the theory there. Say suppose in my normal C or C++, how I used to write my pointers. Integer pointer IP is equals to, I'm assigning my pointer that you have to point at this place. So I'm taking over here integer value ans, say suppose, right, that is 10. So what I can write, ampersand sign and ans. So wherever the ans is there, at that point pointer need to point out. Yes or no? So if we will draw something in the word file, it will take some time to open. Suppose here is my variable, that is a, right, or answer, whatsoever you will say. This is my pointer, which name is IP, right, and this is my variable ans, answer. So I'm storing answer is equals to 10 over here, right? So over there only my pointer IP is pointing. So if I'll access this value like star IP, so I'll get what ultimately 10. Yes or no? Because IP is also pointing there only wherever the my variable ANS is there. This is only the meaning, yes or no, for this statement, right? So here my answer is the normal variable. So I can write like this. But now the problem is what? I'm having one class A, and over here there is my variable integer answer is equals to 10. So now this is no more a normal variable, it is a part of class A, right? It is part of class A, it is a member of the class A. So now you cannot write like this. You cannot write like this. This is error, right? So how I can write this pointer, write integer pointer IP, right? But over here I need to say that this is from the class A. So A scope resolution operator. Same way after this %, this ANS is from which class? From class A. So again I need to write A scope resolution operator and ANS. So now this is the correct syntax. Getting this in front of my IP and ANS, I've just put my A and scope resolution operator. That's it. So it looks very complex, but it is not actually. It is not complex, right? No? But one at very first time, at very first glance, this will look very complex. And if you are not paying attention or you have just started your Google Meet and you are roaming around somewhere, then from the book you won't get anything, right? By looking the syntax, it is very difficult to understand, right? So here you can see the same example, class A, right? I'm having my integer m, that is my variable. Now this is not a simple variable m of the data type integer. This integer m is a part of class A. It is a member of class A, right? And now if I want to put any of the pointer on my variable m, so I have to write like this. So this is normally your integer pointer IP is equals to this m% sign and m. Very similar to that, but you are just adding a scope resolution operator, a scope resolution operator. So that's it. So when I'm showing you directly this syntax, it is very difficult to understand. But we have gone through like this example, so I hope now this is clear. Yes or no? Here say suppose I'm having integer m, right? So how you can write now? In my normal way, integer pointer IP, I'm again repeating this thing. So if still you are not getting pay attention, integer pointer IP is equals to m%. This is my normal thing. If this integer m is not part of your class A, you can write like this. This is valid. But this is not valid because integer m is now data member of class A. So how I can write? So integer A scope resolution operator, that is in front of your pointer IP. And the same over here, A scope resolution operator and M. So now you can imagine this thing. This is very correct that what I have written, right? Getting fine. So here, whatsoever I have written, that is this A scope resolution operator and pointer. What this indicate? This is indicate this is pointer to whom? So member of A class. This M is nothing but what? It's a member of your class A. So that what I've written, pointer to a member of A class. Now what I'm writing over here is m% A scope resolution M. What I've written, so this is nothing but this m% is what? Address. So address of the member, that is M, of A class. I hope you are getting these lines what I have written. What is this? A, then scope resolution operator and pointer. What this is? This is pointer to member of class A. And what is this? Ampersand A, scope resolution operator M. This is nothing but you have to start with the address. Okay, so word is address of, what is this? A member, right? So member of class A. Now you will be able to write this thing by your own, right? You just have to look. There's a star, so this is pointer. To whom? So member of your class A. Here it is address. Address of what? Member of the class A, right? So remember the following statement will not valid. Integer pointer IP is equals to end M, right? This is because M is not simply an integer data type. It has the meaning only when it is associated with the class from where it is belongs to, right? So the scope operator must be applied to both pointer and a member, right? Scope resolution operator is applied to both for pointer as well as for the member. Now the thing that how you can access it, this is the most important thing to understand, which you won't be able to read from the book and you won't get anything. So how you can access this IP and M? Access it. Say suppose this is your pointer IP and this is your M. So how you can access it? So by creating the object, so say suppose A small a. So small a is what? A is an object, right? So this is nothing but the object. Now how I can access my pointer and as well as my M? Because ultimately I want to access the value of M. So value of M you can access even by this A dot M. You can simply write C out A dot M, right? And you can even access this via pointer. So how you can access it via pointer? A dot pointer IP. Here also you will get the value of M. Here also you will get the same value of M, right? I can access it via both the things, either by the pointer, either by the member. So you can see over here, if I'll write star IP, then also I'll get the answer 10. Whether I'll write the answer is equals to this, then also I'll get the answer 10 because they both are the same, right? Yes or no? Getting this thing up to this, you are getting? Okay, fine. Now back to the slide. So how you can access this via a dot star IP or a dot m, that will display the same display m, display m, right? Value of m. So the pointer IP can now be used to access a member of m inside the member function or inside the friend function, right? Via this. So let us assume that the a is an object of a. The small a is an object of your class A declared in a member function. So we can access the M using the pointer IP as follows. So a dot pointer IP, which is very similar to cout a dot M, right? In any member function. But now another thing, if you are putting the pointer on your object, then how you can access it? how you can access your pointer as well as your member, how you can access it via that. So say suppose again back to this. So over here, what I'll write is class capital A, right? And here I'm having a small a. So this is nothing but the object. So here I have putted my pointer IP on this variable answer. So again I'll insert something and you will get to know. So this is what? This is my object A. This is nothing but my object A, right? And this is my variable answer and this is my pointer IP, right? So now I'm having my pointer on my object only, right? I'm having one pointer on my object A. This is my normal variable and this is my object of the class, right? And I'm putting one pointer named as, I'll keep the same name so there would be no confusion, AP, AP, right? Pointer on my object A. So now via this pointer AP, how I can access this IP and this answer, or you can say M, right? Because we have changed M. How you can access it? Via this pointer AP. Huh? I'm not talking about IP. IP is a pointer which is pointing to your variable M of the class A. And here this is the object of your class A, and I am having one pointer AP which is pointed to my object. So now I can access this IP and this M via this arrow operator. Arrow. So I can write like this AP, then arrow to my pointer IP. And again this is my AP, then arrow, and I can have this M. Getting this thing? This is, see, this is very difficult to understand, but I'm trying my best to explain via this figure also, because this is not given in your book, right? But via this I'm explaining you this thing, and through this object A you are accessing actually your variables and both of the things, right? So you can see that you are accessing IP via this, or you can access M via this object. And now I'm accessing this IP and M via AP. So here you have to use arrow operator. Via that you can directly access IP. Via this arrow you can directly access your M. Getting this thing now? Fine. The same example, somehow little bit changed, but I have taken another example, so maybe that will be more clear. Now I'm having one class. Class name is capital M, where I'm having integer x comma y. These are my two variables. Now here there would be one method, right? Here there would be one method, that is a void set xy. So here in this method what I'm doing, I'm just setting my x and y to something. X is equals to, say suppose 10 and y is equals to 20. This is what I'm setting. So I have not shown you this points, right? Instead of that I'm directly showing you the integer sum. This is my method integer sum, where I'm passing object of my class M. So capital M is my class name and small m, that is the object of my class. Now what I'm doing in this method, I'm having two pointers px and py on x and y variable respectively. So how I can write the pointer? Integer pointer px is equals to m% x. So if you don't remember exactly what you need to write, so write down this at the first. The normal way, integer pointer px is equals to m% x. And now you add whatsoever is required, because this x and y is not the normal variable. They are member of your class M. So you have to write M scope resolution operator over here, M scope resolution operator. So you can't write like this directly over, I mean, directly with the scope resolution operator and all. So you just write it down in a simple way and then add this M and scope resolution operator. Getting this thing? I hope you are able to write this, what I'm explaining you. Then integer pointer py is equals to, that is on your y variable, but this is not the normal one. They are part of your class M, so I have to write like this again. This, so this is the simplest way that I can suggest, right? If you are listening this lecture very carefully, you will be able to write it by your own. Just write like I'm writing. Okay. So this is my two pointer px and py on x and y. So we can draw the figure again. Here my variable x. Here is my variable y. Here I'm having two pointers, respectively px and py. Okay. So I can write px and py. Right? These are the pointer on my variable x and on my variable y. At least getting this fine. Now the next thing. Here I am creating my pointer on the object. Okay. So how you used to write this thing? Say suppose why you are creating integer pointer only, because whatsoever the variable is at the right hand side, this x and y, they are the integer type. That is why you are writing integer at the left hand side also, right? But now what I'm doing is I'm putting my pointer on my object. So here what is my object? M. This is my object M. I'm putting the pointer on this. So what is the type of this M? Capital M, because that is a class. So I cannot write integer over here. I have to write capital M. Then pointer, what is the name of that? PM, right? PM. So I can write PM is equals to ampersand sign and M. I hope you are getting this right, no? So I'm writing M pointer PM is equals to the ampersand sign and M. So why I have written over here capital M? Because this pointer is of type capital M, because my object M is of type capital M. So left and right side should be same in terms of data type. I'm not writing like this integer pointer ip is equals to m% x, where my x is of type float. So am I writing over here integer? Though I know my variable of x is a kind of float, so I have to write over here also float, right? Because left and right type should be same. So that is why I have written this statement m pointer pm is equals to m% m. And now I'm doing the summation. So how I am accessing this px and py directly via pm, or you can say via the object M. So this is very difficult to understand, right? If I am directly accessing this px and py from my object M, then how I could write M dot my normal variable, that is x. maybe. So I can write like this m dot x, that is for normal variable to access it. Or I can write like m dot y if it is a normal variable, but I want to access it via px and py. If I want to access it via px and py, so how I can write via px and py? So I can write m dot pointer px. So I can get the value of x, or I can write like p dot pointer py. So I can get the value of y via this. Or if I want to access directly, I'm showing you the figure, otherwise you won't be able to access it, right? Here is my object m, right? And here on that object, I have put one pointer, that is this, pm. That is nothing but the pointer on my object m. So if I want to access this m dot x, I can write m dot y, I can write even m dot pointer px, I can write, right? Same way I can write m dot pointer py. Getting this thing? M dot pointer py, that also I can write.
मैम
Okay, but what? Yes,
मैम आप वो लाइन समझा
yes
सकते हो
Harsh.
क्या एम स्टार पी एम इज इक्वल टू एड्रेस ऑफ एम
Okay, this line m star pm is equals to this line.
यस मैम व्हाई हैव यू क्रिएटेड दिस पॉइंटर स्टार पी एम
Because I want to create the pointer on my object. I can create the pointer on the variables. I can even create the pointer on the objects, right? So how I can differently access the variable, that is only what I wish to show you, right? So it is something like that. Through this pm, you can directly access this px and py. That is what I am showing. You can access this via the object. Your object name is what? M. So you can access m dot x. You can even access m dot y. You can even access m dot pointer px and m dot pointer py,
मैम
right?
विदाउट इट वी
And
कैन
you
नॉट
can
एक्सेस
even access this px.
मैम विदाउट इट वी कैन नॉट
Dear,
एम डॉट
you can access. Dear, that what I'm asking you a question, that without pointer you can't access your x and y. You can just give me this simple answer, then I'll give you the answer of PM. I'm asking you that without this px and py, can't you operate directly x and y? You can, na? Then why you are creating px and py? Have you are having this answer?
ओके ओके यस
You are learning data structure, right? DS, right? You are learning data structure, and in that there is a clear cut advantages of pointer is written, that why you are accessing via pointers. So here I can, even if I'm not creating pointer for px and py, then also I can directly access m dot x and m dot y. Then why I'm creating this? But here I'm showing you use of the pointers. So here px and py are the pointers on x and y. But this pointer pm is on your whole object. So your whole object can be accessed by your pointer pm. And how you can access it? Via the arrow operator. Arrow to x and arrow to your py. So now you can see this PPT again. Here I have used integer s is equals to, what is my function name? Sum. So I want to do the summation of x and y. Fine. So first time I'm showing you the different way, and second way I'm showing you another way. So what you can access? M dot pointer px. M dot pointer px. So this is how you are directly accessing your value of the x, yes or no. Our ultimate goal is what? To access the value of x and y for the summation. So here the first way I'm showing you that you can write m dot pointer px. So you will be having ultimately the value of x over here, right? And I'm showing you another way how you can access the value of py via directly pm. So what you can write, pm arrow operator pointer py, pm then the arrow operator pointer py. Getting this thing, this is very important to understand, which you cannot understand directly via just looking at a book, right? So same thing I have written over here, ap is equals to end a. So here ap is a pointer on your object a, and you can write like ap arrow operator star ip, and ap then this simply operator, and you can write m. So same way over here, pm arrow operator, and you can access pointer px. Same way you can use pm arrow operator pointer py. Same way pm arrow operator directly x, pm arrow operator directly y. This is how you can access this. This is how you can access via object. This is I have shown for the PM. I hope now you are getting the things. I have tried my best to explain you this concept, right? Hope you are getting, right? The next topic, that is again this is pointer to members, and here this arrow and star and dot and star, these are known as dereferencing operator. Dereferencing operator. So whenever we are using this arrow and star, it means that to access a member, when we are using pointer on both object and the member, right? And here this dot and star only when the object is used. So here only object is used m, so this is dot and star. But when I'm using my pointer on object, even on my variables x and y, both are having the pointer, so at that time you can use it with the arrow and star. This is what they have explained, arrow and star, dot and star. Note that IP is used like a member name, and we can also design pointer to member functions, which then can be invoked via dereferencing operator in the main function. So you can also have the functions where you are using the pointers on that function. So for that also the syntax is very similar, object name dot pointer, then pointer to member function. Instead of pointer to member variable, you will be having function, and wherever the function argument is there. Here you are having pointer to object, means this arrow, pointer to object, and this arrow star pointer to member function, and you are having the argument. But we are writing this into the parenthesis because the precedence of this parenthesis is higher than the star and this dot and star and arrow and star. So the parentheses are required at that time, right? We don't have any program for this. You can find it out directly into your reference book. From there only I've giving you this example, fine, but there won't be any program. We will ask like that you have to write one program for pointer to object and all. No, we will only ask about the theory, right? And you can give the small example like this, that how we can directly access px and py, and how we can create the pointer on the variable and create the pointer on the object. Okay, I hope the thing is clear to you guys correctly. Any doubt in this? Any doubt in this topic? You can see this lecture again, right? If having any doubt, and you will be understand, I mean, you will get to know about these things, right? But hopefully there won't be any doubt because I've explained you in that way. Okay, fine. Only one person is writing no. Fine. Do you have any doubt?
No,
Fine.
madam.
So we are closing the session. Write your enrollment number into the chat. Okay, Darshan. Fine. Okay, Shubham. Fine. Write down your enrollment number. Thank you all.